Indeed. All right, here they come.
Awesome.
Hello, hello.
Hello,
Hi.
Hi. Welcome.
Emily, and this
Skin.
is Abby. I'm renaming
Emily
her.
and
Yeah, Azzy.
I did Azzy.
Awesome.
I see Jam. Hello again, Jam. It's always lovely to see you.
Hi, lovely to see you guys.
Lovely to see you too. We'll just wait for a couple minutes here. I'll let Whitney get started here in about 2 minutes. So
Perfect.
Do you want to start video? Or I guess we'll sit down. Comfy.
Wow.
welcome. Oops. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mute you, Whitney. I apologize. I messed up. Ah, hello, Cheyenne Christina.
Hello.
Hannah,
Hello.
nice to see you again, Hannah.
Nice to see you too. Whitney, I'll keep an eye on folks bopping in here. Why don't you go ahead and get us started whenever you're comfortable?
Awesome. Well, my name's Whitney, and I am one of the coaches here with Your Worth Coach. The purpose of me being here is to enjoy all of you and to be in charge of the chat. If anybody has any sort of technical issues or would like to communicate via the chat, I will do my very best to make sure you are noticed. And thanks for being here. It's good to be here with all of you.
Thank you so much, Whitney. So let's get started. We're gonna kind of get kicked off with some introductions. All you have to do is introduce yourself. I have an icebreaker question for you. If you are a current or past client, there's just no reason that if you feel like divulging that, that's great, but there's no reason for you to. We can maintain our own confidentiality and be respectful of that. Let's kind of do popcorn introductions. I'll choose the first person, and then you choose somebody else. Choose somebody else on the screen that you don't know. And the question that I'll ask you to answer is, would you rather have $1,000 right now, or would you rather have $10 every day for the next year? So I will pick Jem. You folks you don't have to come up with the same answer, of course.
Hi, I'm Jem, and I would rather have $10 a day for the next year.
Definitely the same.
This is Jason.
Hi, Jason. Hello, Heather. Oh, there she is. Go ahead, Jem and Jason, just pick somebody at random. Pick who looks like they want you to not pick them.
Oh. Definitely, is it Raquel or Rachel? Because she made a face.
Yes, I'm Rachel.
That's
And
Rachel
yeah,
and
you picked
Grace.
someone eating, so that was following his instructions.
Kind of.
Perfect.
Yeah,
It's like they don't want
I
to.
love it.
Yeah.
So
What
hang.
Question.
Hold on. I'm going to jump in real. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm going to say hi to Heather and hi Heather and who else?
that's Ryan.
Hey all, I'm Ryan.
Heather and Ryan. Okay. we're bouncing around doing quick introductions, saying hello. And then the question that we're answering is, would you rather have $1,000 right now or $10 every day for the next year? So it was Rachel and Grace had the floor, and I interrupted. Go for it.
Well, I don't know any investment schemes that do better than $3,650, so I'll go with $10 a day.
Fantastic. Okay. All right. So Rachel and Grace, you can pick somebody who looks like they don't want you to choose them.
Emily and Azzy.
Emily and Ozzy. Azzy, go for it.
$10 a day.
Yeah, that's just math.
Okay. Math, was the kids say, the math is mathing.
The math is
So,
math.
so go ahead, you folks pick somebody.
How about Heather?
Thank you. Hi. Yep. Heather here, Ryan here. We're in Tacoma, Washington, and we're friends with
Tacoma.
Rachel and Grace. Hi. I think, what would you choose? $10 a day. I think we're mathing over here.
Mathing.
Oh, and let's go to Jem Moran.
Actually, they've already gone.
I'm sorry.
We can make them go again. Sorry.
Round two. No.
Okay. Good. Got Christina and Cheyenne, are our only ones left.
Hey, folks. Yes, this is Christina. I'm Sham. You want to go ahead and answer?
Yeah, $10 a day for sure.
Okay. So
Beautiful.
I'm going to answer a little bit different than everyone, just because
Oh.
Good. I thought it was peer
I like
pressure.
this. I like to spend. So what I would want, it's not the smart thing. It's not the math wise thing, but I would take $1,000 up front because I'm always looking to spend it somehow. So
Hey,
that would be me.
fantastic. Well done. So I'm going to start the slides in a second. I don't know if you've ever been on an online class or something where it takes 45 minutes to get to the actual content. So we're just going to jump right in a minute. The second I do, though, you're going to be like little postage stamps to me. So and I won't be able to see your facial expression so well. So if you have a question or a thought or a comment, just interrupt me. And you can just unmute yourselves, or you can just stay unmuted, or you can communicate with Whitney through chat and she will interrupt me. And most people like try to save their questions until the end, and that's just how things get lost. So go crazy interrupting me, but I'm going to bring my slides up now. There we go. Now we have cooperative slides. So what are we talking about? Budgeting as a couple. Apologies. There we go. I'll be okay. I'll be all right to drive home. That's come on, slides. So what we talk about here at Pacific Stoa and Your Worth Coach is something called holistic financial wellness. So we'll talk a little bit about what that means. We respect that every part of your life touches your finances, and your finances touch every part of your life. And as a couple, I'm sure that you realize that as well. Every conversation you have is a financial conversation, either directly or indirectly. So what we know is that financial literacy isn't enough. So I could teach just about anybody the difference between a stock and a bond in about 30 seconds. And everybody's understood it so far, but that's definitely not enough to implement or integrate changes into our life. To do that, we must grow resilience, trust in ourselves, and awareness of our decisions, especially our financial decisions, without shame or judgment. And holistic financial wellness must be trauma informed. That doesn't mean trauma focused. That means that we respect that everybody has some kind of trauma, especially some kind of financial trauma. And we are always collaborative and client-centered. So what we're going to be talking about in this hour, on this spectrum of financial wellness, on one end of it is the financial literacy. Like I said, what's the difference between a stock and a bond, the investing basics, and that's all stuff that you could find on Google. You actually don't need me for any part of this. On the other end of the spectrum are soft skills, problem solving, decision making. For couples, that's connection and communication stuff as well. And that's how we get implementable systems into our life. That's how we get from where we are to where we actually want to be. Where we're going to be talking tonight is pretty solidly on the soft skills side. Just to set your expectations in order, you will not leave tonight in this 1 hour session with a functional budget for you and your partner. But to make a budget, we kind of need every single part of this spectrum. We need to be able to have soft skills and we need hard skills. And typically that takes a little more effort and time than just a 1 hour class. So this is sort of your starting point. Purpose of our class tonight is to deeply understand why financial conversations are fraught with avoidance, hurt, and resistance. And my goal is to teach you at least 3 tools that you can begin using today to make those conversations, financial or otherwise, easier. and then focus on observing your own behaviors and reactions. And why that old canard that we've all heard a million times, why communication is key, is not serving you. And of course, the very first steps to creating a shared money language with your partner. Next month on May 9th at the same time, we're going to be talking, the class is how to make a budget you can actually keep. So it'll be kind of a continuation of tonight's class. So I'm going to tell you a story about these two characters. This is Mo and Sam. And Mo and Sam together run a gourmet donut shop. Gourmet donuts, I don't know if you folks have them where you live, but they're fantastic. We have them all over the place down here. But Mo and Sam run this donut shop more or less together. Sam, on the right here, does the money part of that. So he does the profit and loss statements, and he takes care of their cash register. He'll occasionally make donuts or help customers or that kind of a thing. But for the most part, Sam does the finances part of things. Mo, here on the left, is the operation side of the shop. So if the shop is open, Mo is there. If Mo is there, the shop is open. And it's kind of her baby. And for the most part, she works alone. Sam has a full-time job, so he works outside of the home. But Mo is basically running the shop. But today in their business, they are bringing on their very first employee. So this new employee is going to be taking out trash and helping customers. But for the most part, this new employee will be doing local delivery. So I guess I should have mentioned that this was in a time before Grubhub and Uber Eats and that kind of a thing. So they're adding on to their business by adding on delivery. They're going to be paying for this employee's gas while she's driving. So they are giving her a gas card to basically a fleet refueling kind of a thing. Sam hands the new card to the new employee and is now on his phone, looking through his emails, finding the PIN or the access code to this card. I may have told too much of my story and not done slides. And Mo says, "Where's the PIN for the card?" So Sam's looking on his phone and he says, I don't know. It should be here in the emails, but I'm not finding it. And now Mo's looking too. And she says, "Well, I'm not finding it either. Did you delete the email?" And Sam says, "No, I only delete spam. I wouldn't have deleted an important email like this." Mo says, "Okay, but you actually have deleted important emails before. Remember that one time? You deleted that one email and that cost us a lot of money." And Sam says, "Yeah, once, but it doesn't matter. That was like 10 years ago. Let's just give her cash. I'll make her a note in the profit and loss statement so we can keep track of it, but let's just get her on the road." Mo says, "I don't want to give her cash. I want to do this right the first time so I don't have to do this again." Sam says, "We're burning hours here. Let's just figure this out later." Mo says, "No, we need to take care of this right now. You're always trying to take shortcuts. You're not taking this seriously." Sam says, "I'm not trying to take a shortcut. I'm trying to." "Why don't you take this seriously?" Mo says. "I am taking this seriously." Sam again. "That's why I'm saying we should just give her cash and move on with our lives. You always do this." "Well, I'm not sure what to do here. I'm not sure what to tell you," Sam says. And Mo says, "Okay, I see you shutting down. I know that you don't care about this. I get it. And now you're just going to give up. You're just going to." And then Sam turns around and walks out of the room. So conversation over. So we're going to dig into this conversation a little bit deeper. And I said a little bit ago, like every conversation you have with your partner, I see Emily and ask, giggling, not calling you out. Don't have to do that. I just see lots of smiles. Every conversation that you have with your partner is directly or indirectly a financial conversation. And we can kind of see that this is a financial conversation and it's kind of not a financial conversation. So each of these two little weirdos has something that is deeply, deeply, deeply important to them. So what's important to Mo? And you're welcome to unmute. You're welcome to type it in the chat or yell it, whisper it in Whitney's ear.
Order and doing things right.
Mhm. Absolutely. What else is important to Mo? Let's see what I wrote down. Oh, look at that. Well done. Take it seriously, right? Mo's all about taking stuff seriously. She also wants to be understood. She wants him to understand that this is serious to her. This is important to her. No shortcuts. So those are the things that are important to Mo. Can you think of anything else that's important to Mo?
I think looking put together in front of her new employee.
We can't forget that there's a third person in the room, right? They're there. They have an audience for this. Yeah.
And also trying to find a real solution
Mm-hmm.
instead of just, pushing it off till later.
Yep. Exactly. What else, folks? Okay, so we got some stuff that's important to Mo. So of course we're going to ask, what kind of things are important to Sam? What do you think?
Moving forward.
Mm-hmm. What else? See how we,
Not being viewed as the fall person.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Defending his abilities also.
Absolutely. Yeah, let's see how I did. Pivoting, adapting,
Wait,
yeah, moving forward.
We have
Huh?
Rachel sharing being accepted.
Yes,
important to Sam.
absolutely. Sam is absolutely, well, yeah, it's more to everybody, but yeah, it being accepted is important to Sam. Absolutely. Yeah, Sam's all about getting stuff, like Heather was saying, getting stuff done, move on, get some results, let's go, right? All of those things are important to Sam. It's a big one. How does Sam feel about conflict? That is what's technically called NFS. That is not for Sam. Conflict is not, Sam does not like conflict. What else is important to Sam? Being accepted. So let's say you're going to help these two out, and you can kind of tell that them having these deeply important things is kind of propelling this conflict. It's like giving it some energy. So let's say you lean into the conversation and say, look, guys, the things that you think are really, really important, they're not. You could just move on. So you tell them, look, doing things the right way and taking things seriously, that's not that important. Just move on from that. And you tell Sam, look, Sam, avoiding conflict and getting stuff done and pivoting and changing, that's not important. Just let it go. How do you think your wisdom would be received by them?
Not good, because it would completely invalidate both of their feelings.
Yep. Yeah. Nobody's going to enjoy that. Might get punched in the face a little bit, just a little tiny bit, right? Especially because they're already a little fired up. Yeah. So we don't interrogate why or if something should be important to somebody else.
We have
Huh?
Rachel sharing in the chat resistance with with 3 exclamation points.
Yes, it would be definitely, I think a resistance is a very nice way to say that. Yeah, would be met with resistance. Absolutely. However well-intentioned our advice might be. Yeah, so we don't interrogate why or if something should be important to someone. The thing that you need, that important thing that you can see Mo and Sam holding close to them, that's part of our safety language. So that helps keep us safe. And we do not like when somebody tells us, hey, that thing that is keeping you safe right now, it's not important. Don't worry about that. That's true for you, but that's also true for your partner as well. So what is each partner's safety language? What is keeping them safe? Well, let's pretend we could ask Mo and Sam, we'll start with Mo though, to make a perfectly honest and vulnerable journal entry. What would Mo's diary look like? She might say that the things that are keeping her safe are, when Sam knows what's important to me, if he doesn't know what's important, it means I'm not important. Doing things the right way will protect me from uncertainty, risk, and failure. I just need to make him understand. If he understood how serious things are, he'd do more. Yeah. To kind of hear that push that she has is an attempt to keep her safe. It's a protective strategy. Let's see what Sam says. So what's important to Sam is figuring some stuff out. Mo gets so scared of changes. It's frustrating and it's holding us both back. Keeping the peace keeps us safe, especially when the conflict is about things that could just easily be fixed. She's worried about all these little things and doesn't see that the conflict and the blaming is what's ruining us. Okay. So we're going to do a lovely little grid here. So the need here is our second column. Mo's needs: do things the right way, be serious about important things, be understood, follow through. What am I missing from Mo's needs and safety? Let's do Sam's. So Sam's needs: adapting, pivoting, problem solving, keeping the peace, not worrying about things that we could just otherwise fix. Anything else that you can see that we could add to Sam's needs, Sam's concerns for safety? So each of them have something that they're holding deeply dear to them, something that's keeping them safe, but they each see
We
that their
have
partner.
Emily, we have Emily sharing in the chat. De-escalation is something
De-escalation.
that's
Yes. I think both of them probably would feel they want the de-escalation, right? They won't get it with this kind of conversation, but that certainly would probably help their safety. I hope that's what you meant, Emily. So each of them can perceive that their partner is doing something to threaten what is keeping them safe. So let's start with Mo. So Sam's shutting down, not taking things seriously. What's important to her is not important to him, and feeling dismissed. Those all are things that Sam is doing that Mo could perceive as a threat. Let's go to Sam. So Mo's blaming and accusations, not letting things go. And it's embarrassing. Like, again, we can't forget that there is an audience here. They have another person in the room. So what tends to happen is that when we feel threatened, we are going to protect ourselves. As alive critters, that's just sort of part of being an alive critter. If we feel threatened, we're going to protect ourselves. So what kind of things is Mo doing to protect herself?
Making sure that she is understood so it doesn't happen again.
Yeah. See what I wrote down. Yeah. She's getting assertive, aggressive, blaming. She's kind of getting blamey, accusey in there a little bit too. She's insistent. She's going to make sure this doesn't happen again. This is the time. This is the conversation that I make you understand how important this is to me. This one conversation is more important than every conversation we've ever had. I just need to make you understand how important this is. So what is Sam doing to protect himself?
Shutting down and running away.
He certainly is. Yep,
Yeah.
that's a protective
Trying
strategy
to-
too.
Trying to solve the
That
problem
low.
as quickly as possible too.
Mhm. Yeah, he's problem solving. Absolutely. Shutting down, avoiding, he books it, and he also does his problem solving. So as he shuts down, that's going to be perceived by Mo as a threat. And then if she feels threatened, she's going to protect herself by being assertive, blaming, not letting it go, which Sam is going to perceive as a threat. And then he's going to protect himself by shutting down. And then we're off to the races, right? So we've got this kind of infinity loop of threat and protection. And that's actually what this cycle is called. It's called the threat protection cycle. This comes from the work of a therapist called Sue Johnson, who's probably been a couples therapist for as long as I've been alive, which is a long time. And she calls this the dance. She basically says, if you have these two moves, if these are the only two dance moves you know, you will get stuck in this trap of a conversation. And I'm sure you can kind of see, you've seen this cycle before. And I'm not going to make the assumption that you've seen this in your own relationship, but you don't have to watch Netflix for very long before you find this, right? And by the way, like, don't call if you see somebody in a Fred Meyer's. I'm sorry, that's very regional. I apologize. If you see a couple having an argument, please don't walk up to them and point this up. Ooh, you're being Mo. Don't do that. That's not a good idea. So that threat protection cycle, that dance that they're doing, that is the enemy. Yep. You are not the enemy. Your partner is not the enemy. Just like Sam and Mo are not the bad guys. The cycle is the enemy. So every weapon we have available to us to go to war with the cycle will feed that cycle. So let's say 10 minutes later, they both feel like garbage because this got out of hand again, right? So they come back and like, I'm so sorry. This was the worst. I'm the worst. You're the worst. And it'll start right back up again. Another way to stop this cycle is to just stop talking. And this is especially important around finances, because that is an easy thing to do. If a financial conversation has even the potential to hurt us, we will avoid it. So we get into avoidance and procrastination. We've got that pile of bills piling up, right? They come in and they go sit over there in the corner. And so, yeah, everything that we do to try to kill this cycle makes it stronger. But the good news is you and your partner built this cycle together, so you can undermine it together. And that's what we do. We undermine it. So the first tool we're going to talk about today was that Rachel was making sort of the evil, like, I don't know, that's a little scary. Are you plotting, planning?
Undermining.
Undermining. Yeah. So get sneaky with it. So the first tool we're going to talk about, and I hope we'll get to all three, is to deeply understand and then share your own threat protection cycle. You're not going to be sharing it with us here today, just so you know. So your cycle, like, first it begins with just observing your own reactions and actions. Observing without judgment is something that's in this work as a trauma-informed financial coach, as trauma-informed financial coaches. Observation without judgment is one of the first things and one of the most continuous things that I talk about with my clients. And it's hard. It's really difficult. I do not need to teach you how to observe your behavior with judgment. Everybody knows how to do that. Observing your own behavior without judgment is a skill. Rachel's laughing at me. So let's say you will always observe this in your partner first. Let's say you observe your partner being Mo or being Sam. And I should have mentioned ahead of time, nobody is 100% one or the other. We flip back and forth. If you observe your partner being Mo or Sam, please, 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 please do not observe, comment, or correct your partner's behavior. Please, it will not work. Seems like it would, and it's deeply satisfying. It's not. Please don't. Observe only. Being aware of your own behavior and reactions without judgment or correction is sometimes difficult, so be patient with yourself. Acceptance of where you are right now is the only way to change. So what are the things that are important to you? What are the things that you need to feel safe? And at the end of the class tonight, there's a feedback form, and at the end of the feedback form, I can send you a worksheet. I don't want to send it to everybody, so you can just ask for it through there. What are some of the things that threaten your safety needs? And then how do you defend or protect yourself from those perceived threats? And I should mention that it doesn't matter if the threats are real or not. It doesn't matter if our partners are intending to hurt us. It doesn't matter. The intention and the impact are two different things. And then the big question, this one takes some time, noodle on this one. How could my protective strategies be a threat to my partner? Okay, before we move on, we're moving on to tool number 2. What questions, what pushback do you have? I like a good pushback. What pushback do you have about the threat protection cycle and salmon mow? Oh, no pushback. Alrighty, let's move on. So we're gonna divert away from the conversational part of this. There's much work to be done, and I don't want to moving away from it doesn't mean that it's not important. But let's talk about the three kinds of budgets. Next month's class will kind of start here, but dig into this much deeper. So there's three different philosophies on budgeting that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what we kind of want from each kind of budget and what the actual outcomes are of each kind of budget. So let's say you are teaching a budgeting class. The budget you're going to be teaching has been built by world-class economists. And these world-class economists say that if everybody in the United States follows this pre-made prescriptive budget, it's like spend 20% of your income on this and 5% of your income on that. If everybody follows that, we're all going to be just fine. And you're a fantastic teacher, and you've got 100 class participants, and those 100 class participants, super smart, super serious, they're not ding-dongs at all, and they're ready to make changes to their life with the budget that you're going to teach them. Okay, so you teach them the budget, and then you send them off. You've got 100 class participants, and you're going to go check on them in 1 month. I suppose I should just read the slides. All right, so you've got your 100 class participants, and you go check on them in 1 month. How many of them do you think are self-reporting that they're keeping with the budget?
Maybe 10.
Jam, 10. Good. What else? What else? What do other folks think?
I guess 20 and Grace guessed 40.
Self-reporting, all of them?
Self-reporting, all of them. Okay, good. Well, we're just getting we're gonna, by the law of large numbers, we're actually going to get it right on if we average everybody's together. Yeah. At the 1 month mark, only half are self-reporting that they're keeping with the budget, which means that the actual number of people that are keeping with it is much lower than 50%. That's at 1 month. So let's go all the way out to a year. How many people are even self-reporting that they're keeping with the budget?
0.
Got a 0. Here's some other numbers, or 0. What do you guys think?
10.
I'll say 5.
Okay. What's that game show where we're like trying to get closest to?
Price
With
is
no
Right.
going. Price is Right. Thank you. Well, you can get closest to, but you definitely can go over. And that is at 1 year, nobody is keeping with this budget. Got extra Hannah points for Rachel. Hannah points are not worth anything, by the way. You know, they're not redeemable. There's no exchange rate for those guys. So yeah, at the 1 year mark, not only is nobody keeping with it, but a good portion of them have forgotten that there was such a thing as a budget, right? So where's the problem here, right? We've got 3 variables, right? We've got the budget itself, we've got the class participants, and we've got you as the teacher. So in your teacher brain, we've got a 100% failure rate, which is exceptional. It would be just as weird as having a 100% success rate. So where do you guys think that the failure point is in our teaching?
Need a new wardrobe?
Could be, right? They just don't like what you're wearing that day.
The self-reporting part of it.
Could be. Could be.
Sorry.
Oh, that it's a one size fits all approach. It's not like customized to everybody.
I see some heads nodding. Yeah, that's it, right? If some pupils weren't motivated, serious, or smart, you would have seen at least some of them staying with the budget, right? If your personality or presentation wasn't everybody's liking, some of them would have stayed with it and some of them would not have. 100% failure means the weak point is that pre-made prescriptive budget. That's the budget. When we say budget, that's what most people think about. They think that 20% on your income, 20% of your income in housing and 10% towards savings. That's what people think about, that pre-made, and like Jem said, not at all customized. You do not need me for that kind of budget. You could go right this minute on Google and get dozens, if not hundreds of them for free. They all will say that they're the correct budget, and that is not possible. They can't all be right. But let's go out, talk to your 100 class participants. You go check in on each one of them with those 3 variables: class participants, you, the teacher, and the budget itself. Where do they think the problem is?
I thought it was themselves.
Yep. The message they're going to get is that I had a fantastic teacher and this budget was built by world-class economists. I'm the problem. They don't see that the other 100 class participants have failed. And they are very, very, very unlikely to ever try again. So what we want out of these pre-made prescriptive, typically restrictive budgets what we want structure. I'm just going to read the slides now. So the problem with pre-made budgets is that they're never personalized. They can't be. They can't all be right. And they are vastly oversimplistic. I wouldn't want you to have the kind of simple, boring life where your life would work with one of these budgets. That sounds terrible. I also don't want your June to look like your December, and I don't want your 2024 to look like your 2027. This overly simplistic, you're going to have the same month every month until the end of time. That sounds absolutely awful. Yes, I did that. Ample opportunities for failure, right? So every time we try one of these budgets and fail, we are less likely to start again. To the point by the time somebody gets to us, they have tried about 5 times and then they stop trying. And 5 times is like over their lifetime. That's not very many times. We've all tried to work out more than that, but they will stop trying after a little while. And that's just human nature. That's not a failure. We expect them to provide us with prioritization and structure, and what they give us is inflexibility and failure. So let's talk about the second kind. And this isn't really a system. It's more like a philosophy, mindset. And it didn't have a name, so we just gave it a name. We call it the freestyle budget. You check your bank account, should have about $200 left. Your bank account says $2.62 with Miss J. And that's kind of what we get from the freestyle budget. And what we do is we kind of live like, how often do I actually go out for coffee? It's just this one time. It's not going to matter. Or we also do this with down payments for houses. So we tend to kind of we do our spending or our planned spending in very specific, very short time frames. We do something called framing, and this is the behavioral economics term framing, not the psychology term framing, where we take this decision that's right in front of me and we draw a cute little frame around it. We say, this is not part of my normal spending. This is not part of my normal spending. How often do we put together a down payment for a house? This is not part of my normal spending. This is not part of my normal spending. And I'm sure you can see that it doesn't take very much for that to become sort of like a pothole patchwork kind of a situation. We do it fairly time bound. We'll try to say for this month, I'm going to blankety blank, or in 6 months, we're going to pull together a down payment for our house, or I'm sure it's going to be fine until I get paid on Tuesday. We try to put our spending into a binary. And as we all know, binary is bullshit, also restriction, according to my side. So what we're doing is our brains are trying to classify things into, this is my normal spending, and this is not my normal spending. I don't have to worry about that. Down payments for houses and lunches and all of those things. And what people say to me, because this happens fairly regularly, they'll say, hey, I understand what I spend money on. And I believe them because that's what they're talking about, my normal spending. What is my normal spending? Who knows? That is all hidden from us. We have no visibility on that. And that's where the problem lies. This is why this freestyle sort of mindset is very, very reactive, because we're always sort of like, what happened? We make plenty of money. I know what I spend money on. What's going on? We can't save money. We can't pay off the debt, that kind of a thing. Because we're bucketizing, we're using something called mental accounting, and we're only doing it with two things: my normal spending and not my normal spending. All of your spending is your normal spending. If you buy exactly one gold-plated toilet plunger in your entire life, then that's part of your normal spending. And it is like crash dieting for our finances. And I'm sure you know how crash dieting works. This is also the most common spending mindset. Next time you go to the grocery store, I don't care what the other people in the grocery store are wearing or driving or putting in their carts. 95% of the people that you run into are using this money mindset. And it's a reaction to the first one. We try that first one, we buckle down. We just really got to tighten the belt. And we have that restrictive budget. And then we kind of lose it. We're like, screw that. I'm not doing that anymore. We flip over to freestyle. I just want to live my life. Just want to go out to eat occasionally. I just want fuzzy socks. And we get sick of that because we can't plan ahead. We're always behind the 8 ball. We're always putting out fires. I'm like, okay, this time seriously, we got to get this together. And we flip back to the restrictive budget. 6 weeks later, boom, back to freestyle, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, until eventually we just stay right here. It's just this once. It's not going to make any difference. What are your folks' thoughts about these first two kinds of budgeting? I'll just read the slide. I need a slide that says, Hannah, just read the slide. The problem with freestyle budgets is that they're reactive. They don't allow for looking to the future, that kind of detachment. It makes planning almost impossible. It is stressful and exhausting, even though what we wanted was flexibility. We have ample opportunities for blind spots. We expect them to be easy. They give us uncertainty, avoidance, and crisis. So before we talk about what's behind door number 3, what are your thoughts about the first two kinds of budgeting philosophies?
They sound familiar.
Do they? That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see sort of the connection to the Mo and Sam story, but just within one person, where you want to de-escalate and not feel like you're stressed out all the time about money. You just want to live your life, as you said. But then if you feel threatened that you don't have enough money to do what you want the security of a rigid budget. You think that I can just do that, I'll be secure and safe. So I see that threat cycle within one person.
Yep. That's like 4,000 Hannah points for you guys that are all still not redeemable for anything. Yes, there's absolutely that threat protection cycle, that push-pull cycle, the withdraw, the pursue within these first two. That's a beautiful. What other thoughts do you folks have?
The freestyle one, it's the one for me. I go there when I'm psychologically spent. I'm very vulnerable. I have no more fucks to give.
Yep. Yeah. What's the song? Your fuck budget has been depleted. Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what we do, because we have this impression on our brains that to keep a budget, it needs to be super, super, super hard work. You must take this seriously. There we go. Right? You would just have to make the correct choice, that there's a correct choice to be made, and it's hard work, and it's not. Let's talk about what actually works. And we will, of course, talk in depth about this next month as well. So we're going to pick on a motor company, a car company, and I'm going to say the Ford Motor Company, and I'm not doing that because we have a Ford here with us today, not just because of that. So Ford Motor Company has all sorts of departments. There's the IT department and the facilities department and the robots and marketing and all sorts of stuff that I really actually don't truly understand the way the inside of a car company works. So let's say most of these big organizations have a 2-year biennium. And let's say it's 18 months into this biennium, and we've got the marketing department and the human resources department. And the human resources department comes to the marketing department and says, hey, marketing, I am out of money for this 2 years. I'm out of HR money. Can I please have some of your marketing money? What do you think the marketing department might say to the human resources department?
We've got some heads shaking no.
No head
No
shaking.
shot.
Yeah. Would the marketing department say, sure, that sounds great. Let me give you some of my money. Or would the marketing department say, kick rocks, human resources? They would probably say kick rocks, right? They would absolutely deny that to them. And in most of these organizations, there's not even a way to move money between these departments because that wasn't part of the plan. And this makes perfect sense to our brains. We understand the way the departments work because every 2 years, each of those departments gets a bundle of money with which to do their job. That money, the human resources money, has the job of human resources, and the marketing job has the job of doing marketing. So probably, oh, it's pack sand on this one, not kick rocks. So what we're talking about is something called a zero-based budget. And this is where each department spends that allotment of money down to zero, down to their last dollar over a set period of time, typically 2 years. It's been used by corporations in the private sector since just after World War I, almost exclusively after World War II. There was a period of time where large government organizations were not using a system like this. They had just a big pile of money. And there's also like grift and like, yes, all sorts of bad things happen because they weren't keeping track of where the money was going. With a zero-based budget, it's easier. If you're the CFO or the CEO, you can kind of see almost in real time what's happening with all of those buckets, those departments. It's a very easy, fast way to evaluate every department's efficiency or inefficiency almost in real time. It is also easy to evaluate where redundancies and unnecessary spending is happening. But it can result in bloat, where I'm sure if you've ever known anybody who's worked for a government department, like they get to the end of that 2 years and man, they are just making it rain POs, right? Purchase orders, got to spend that money because if we don't spend it now, what's going to happen?
Your budget will get cut.
Mhm. Absolutely will, right? Bloat happens quite a lot in these big systems, but where we're headed with this, it doesn't happen so much. The bigger the entity and the longer the time frame, the slower the pivot will be. So we can see things like this happened a lot with the pandemic, where these gigantic organizations, cities, corporations, all of them with these gigantic budgets were very, very, very slow to pivot with something like, oh, you know, the world shutting down. So let's go back to 1985, 1986. Some of you might not have been born yet, but it was an interesting time. I was 12, 13 at this time, and yes, can confirm this was the height of fashion back in the day. So let's think about Ford Motor Company in 1985, 1986. And we're going to take the exact budget that Ford used 85, 86, and we're going to give it to Ford, the exact same company, this far out. I don't know why I still have a mask on there. So 23, 24, what would be emblematic of this one? I don't know, TikTok. So we're going to give the exact same budget from 85, 86 to 23, 24. How do you think that would work for Ford?
They probably wouldn't have any way to run their website.
Yeah. They're like, enter what? Internet? Yes. Yeah, they wouldn't have, the technology wouldn't have been able to change. They probably spent more on print advertising then than they do now. Yeah, that definitely wouldn't have worked so well. So this won't
But it
work
would be
because
fun to see CEOs making minimum wage.
yes, that would be fantastic. We could do that. So everything has changed. Everything inside the organization has changed, and pretty much everything outside the organization has changed. We've had technology advances, and we've had, people work differently now. We move around the world differently. We've had inflation and all of that stuff. So what's happening is something called iterative development. So that every 2 years, the budget before didn't look too different from the budget right now. But Ford and anybody who uses a zero-based budget intentionally changes the system every single time. The mechanism for changing the system and adapting the system is built into the system. It's an expectation that the system changes. All right, so let's say we're pretending like it's 3 years ago. We're going to pretend like Hannah fixed that to say 24, 25, whatever. We're going to take Ford Motor Company's exact budget from right now today, and we're going to give it to the city of Seattle right now today. So how do you think that would work for the city of Seattle?
It's just really important to have a good sewage system. So it would be smelly.
It would be, and probably Ford doesn't, maybe French drains, and that's it, right? So yes, this is entity specific. So even if Ford and the city of Seattle have the same top line revenue, and to be honest with you, I have no idea if that's the case, everything has to be entity specific. So the specific budget that you build for your life right now today will not work for anybody else. In fact, it shouldn't. You should not be able to copy paste your budget and give it to your best friend. It's not going to work. So let's talk about mental accounting a little bit. Pushing real close on time. I want to be sensitive to you guys' schedule because I know that some of you are on the East Coast. Thank you, guys. So mental accounting is a shortcut that our brains take to make it easier to keep track of everything going on. Our brains are, think about some guy in the Ford Motor Company who's in the sub basement writing checks for purchase orders all day long. Now it's a payroll check, and now it's an airline for airfare check, and now it's raw materials. Like, that is so difficult to keep track of. So we use mental accounting. We use those departments to make everything easier to keep track of. Money is given a job, and we can take, like we do with everything, human beings can take this too far. The way that we can take this too far is that we give money a job based on where it came from. So I'm sure you've had people in your life where they treat their income one way, their credit card balance is treated a different way. And this is the perfect time of year for this. Tax refund. Woo, tax refund. Oh no, my computer's about to die. Just a moment. Okay. That's giving money a job based on where it came from. And that's where we get a little weird. We can make bad decisions when we do that. Our brains can also be fairly inflexible when we're using mental accounting. So once we give it a job, we have trouble pivoting. Best applied to where money is going, not where it came from. So Ford absolutely does not care that marketing and sales is the only part of the organization that brings in money. Doesn't care. They're going to give it. Human resources doesn't bring in money. Doesn't need to. All right. Tool number 3. Ooh, we're pushing it real fast here. Create your shared money language. So kind of back to the relationship communication side of things. We can't communicate with others if we don't speak the same language. And please, please, please do not do this step without your partner. So remember, we talked about human resources and marketing. That's bucketizing, categorizing. The idea is that, just read the slides, Hannah. Yeah, so we're going to give money a job based on where it's going. Human resources versus marketing. We're using that mental accounting. If our brains are really good at mental accounting, which they are, I don't have to teach you how to do that. Let's just leverage that. So the idea is that you folks sit down together and you categorize all of your spending. You need to have at least 3 buckets. Very early on in this work, I had a client who tried to make 1 bucket, and the bucket was called stuff I spend money on. And you can't build a system out of that, but he tried. It was adorable. No good or bad spending, no necessary spending, no fun money spending, no all money is spending money, just depends on your timeline. We don't care whether this is a want or a need. And at some other point, you can, lucky you might be subject to Hannah's rant on wants versus needs. Focus on the job the money is doing for you. What is the purpose of this spending? No miscellaneous or other buckets. No wants versus needs. Try to capture all of your spending in a quote unquote normal month, even though there's no such thing as a normal month. Group, again, I'm beating this particular dead horse. Group spending together by purpose. And for this step, because you're just creating a shared money language with your partner, don't even worry about dollar amounts. Seriously, no miscellaneous or other buckets. Sometimes people will try spending money buckets. I'll know. I will just feel it in the back of my ears. No wants versus needs, no good or bad spending. Group money together by the job it does for you. So these are some bucket prompts. What's something you've recently spent money on? You could start there. Imagine you have a little bucket in front of you. And for my clients, I actually send them little buckets. I should have had some handy that I could show you, little buckets and little pieces of paper. And we actually play a game where we actually do this task together, and we treat it like a game. You're going to take money out of this little bucket for that thing that you recently spent money on. What is this bucket called? What else would be in that bucket? For each new thing that you think about, would that be in an existing bucket you already have, or would it be in a new bucket?
Do you want me to show the buckets that I have? I
If
pulled
you
it up
have
on
them
my
handy, Whitney, I'd be grateful. Yeah, so you can actually categorize your spending. You can get your little sticky notes and you can just write like groceries and put it in one, and toothpaste and put it in one. Treat this as a game. Thank you, Whitney. Treat this as a game and it works way better. Commonly forgotten things are car insurance, cleaning supplies, personal hygiene, and be okay with your buckets changing, collapsing, expanding, and be okay with there's going to be several things that could fit in more than one bucket. And your job as a couple is to get to about 80% agreement. Car insurance is a fantastic example of that. Car insurance could go in at least 4 different buckets for most people, but just try it out. This is how we create our own money language. So I'm going to drop out of this for a second. No, we don't have time for that. So here in the last couple minutes, and you are welcome to right this minute, give your feedback, but I'm also going to put into chat. Oh, I look like I'm dead. Hold on. So much better. I'm going to put into the chat the form to give me some feedback, give us some feedback. It's like 3 questions, and you are also welcome to, if you want a resource, you can, oh my God, hold on, I'm messing up badly. Forms in the chat. The chat isn't. The words are hard today and I can't have any more coffee. You're welcome to give us feedback. It helps us grow. We covered a lot in 1 hour, like a lot. The resource that I have for you is the threat protection cycle worksheet. So you can actually, those questions that I asked on the slide, I'll just send them to you sometime tonight. You can also, you're welcome to sign up for an info session with me, and we can talk about what coaching actually looks like. Or you can just leave me feedback and say, no, thank you, no resources, no email, Hannah. In our closing few minutes, though, I do want to ask, what was your biggest surprise as we've been talking? And by we, I mean me. What's your biggest surprise from the class tonight?
I'm gonna say no want versus need. I feel like I hear to bucket into want versus need in every financial thing, and I struggle with it. So this was interesting.
It's all bullshit. It's bullshit. It's restriction and it's bullshit. You could tell them Hannah said no, and then slap them and run away. I don't know. Yeah, if that was going to work, you folks would have figured it out by now. You are not using the wants versus needs tool incorrectly. It is a bad tool. You're not doing it wrong. What else? Thank you very much, Heather.
yeah, for me, it's like it's not my fault the tool was bad, right? That one. And that if I can practice a zero balance budget, then I'm practicing business budgeting. So it's not like a whole big different thing.
Mm-mm.
That's kind
That's
of
what I
cool to
love
know.
about it, is like, we have this modeled for us all the time, the zero-based budget. We just don't shrink it down to the size of our mortal lives. It's possible to modify it down. That's what we'll talk about next month as well. What else? Hmm.
So I started using a You Need a Budget app a couple of
Mhm.
years ago. And just watching you explain the different kinds of budgets made me realize that until I started using that, I was living by myself and single and in my 20s and early 30s. And the whole reactive budgeting worked really well in that time. But that doesn't work when you have anyone else that you're working with or living with or anything.
Yeah. Well, our lives get complex.
They get a little more complicated, yeah.
Yeah, they do that. Wonderful. So we're at time. We're not going to kick anybody out, and you're welcome to sit and chat if you'd like. You're welcome to give feedback. Yeah. The floor is yours, or you're welcome to go if you need to. I'm grateful for all of your time. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. And I hope to see you next month. Next month isn't open quite yet, but I'll let you guys, you folks will be the first to get the invitation for the class next month before anybody else does. So thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Have a lovely evening.
Whitney. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for being here, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
Will.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye for now.
It's good to be with all of you.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Hold on one second.